With this video, I'm going to do a handful of phrases that demonstrate playing a D minor 7 arpeggio over an underlying C major chord that's in the harmony. So in other words, I'm taking a solo over C major, but I'm actually using D minor 7 notes to come up with melodic ideas. So that D minor 7 is going to give you a very active sound against that C major 7. And what that does is add in a lot of color to your playing. So in this particular case, that D minor 7, if we're relating it to C, is actually going to give you the 9th, the 11th, the 13th. All of those are active tones against C. They're all color. And then finally, it's going to give you the note C, which is the flat 7th of the D minor, but the root of the C chord. Now this D minor 7 is just a shape that we're using. It has nothing to do with function. It has nothing to do with anything other than it's a shape that maybe guitar players and piano players can use to hang various different melodic ideas on. So that D minor 7 for guitar players and piano players is going to be a lot more important because it's a shape that they're used to. Horn players and other instruments like that might not be so concerned. They might not get hung up as much on that D minor 7 and get confused. These are just notes that are the upper extensions and upper registers of the C major chord that give it a lot more color. So what you'll end up doing is you'll play active tension over that D minor 7, and then you'll want to resolve it to the C major chord using either the root, the 3rd, or the 5th of that C major chord to resolve that tension. But it's really just going to be heard as color and then resolving to definition. That's kind of the routine that's going on sonically, but you'll see in a minute when I demo this. So with this first lick, I'm going to have the track going, and all that's going on in this track is just a C major triad. So nothing fancy, not even a C major 7, just a basic C major triad. This approach can work not only for jazz, but literally any other style of music. You're just playing on the color. You're just playing on the upper extensions of the chord. So jazz musicians use this all the time. But if you're a rock musician, I don't care if you're metal, I don't care if you shred, I don't care if you like soul or funk or blues or electronic music or composition or classical music, it doesn't matter. This is just a demonstration on how you can think a lot bigger than just a C major when it's time for you to solo over C major. You can think a lot bigger than that. And we're going to take one tiny component of this idea of superimposing other chords, and we're just going to focus on the D minor 7. So this first melodic phrase is me just playing the D minor 7 arpeggio over the C, so you can get an idea of what that sounds like by itself before I start playing melodic ideas. So here's that. In the second idea, I'm also keeping it pretty straight, where I'm just using the D minor 7 arpeggio and maybe a couple of approach notes. And then at the end of a phrase, I'll resolve it down to a note from the C major scale. In this third demonstration, I'm going to give you a couple of ideas on how you can use the D minor blues scale superimposed over the C major 7. So if you can play D minor 7 over C major, sorry, not C major 7, just C major, but C major 7 too, doesn't matter. If you can play a D minor 7 arpeggio over that C major, you can also play a D minor blues scale over it. So here's a handful of D minor blues scales that end up resolving to the C. And finally, these last handful of licks are going to be where I mix things up, where I'm using the D minor 7 arpeggio, but I'm approaching those arpeggio tones with scale degrees, maybe with the blues, maybe with half-step approach notes. So I'm basically just playing freely over that D minor 7 and then resolving to C when it feels like it should resolve. And here's a handful of licks that demonstrate that. So basically all I did in this video was demonstrate one chord that you can superimpose when soloing over a C major chord. And in this case, I chose D minor 7. But there's many, many more options, and not even just in the C scale. We could use the G major scale. We could use the A melodic minor scale. There's so much you can do soloing over just a basic C triad. But I'm just going to keep it short and stick to D minor 7 and only a handful of ideas using D minor 7. But really what you want to know is that this is an active sound going to a resting sound. So we're playing on the upper extensions, which give it an active character, and then we're resolving to C. And what I would do definitely is, after you watch this video, go back and watch Any Chord Can Be a C Chord, which explains all of this in great detail and gives you a lot more options that you can explore and play around with. So hopefully this will give you a few ideas on how to start incorporating active sounds over a resting chord and how to resolve those sounds. So as I mentioned before, that D minor 7 is going to be heard as very active against C, but all the notes are diatonic and all of the notes fit and are relative to C diatonically. So they just have a different character that you have to get used to. But once you get used to that character, it gives you a lot more interesting color and a lot more interesting ideas that you can incorporate over an otherwise limited and boring solo. So hopefully this is of some interest for you. So good luck. Have fun.